Hello, class. Good day. And For today, I will be talking about the conceptual framework, research hypotheses, and definition of variables or the definition of terms. Okay, so at the end of this lesson, you are expected to describe the terms conceptual framework, definition of terms, and hypotheses. Understand the purpose and importance of conceptual framework, definition of terms and hypotheses in a research. And lastly, exhibit knowledge in writing definition of terms, okay, and in constructing the conceptual framework and together with the hypotheses. Okay, but before that, let's study these terms. Okay, the first one is concept. It is any preconceived notion or idea that is in the center of particular instance. Conceptual framework of the research. It is a paradigm that gives a strong emphasis on the interdependency and connection of each research variables throughout the study. Meanwhile, research hypothesis, it is any statement created by researchers when they try to attempt upon the outcome of a research or experiment. Definition of variables, it is a specialized part of research that is operational or it can be conceptual or contextual in nature. Okay, so this course will discuss how these theories will be supported by conceptual frameworks, how these concepts may arrange as research statements, and how research words will be appropriately defined because research is covered by numerous theories from various sources. So this must be considered crucial aspects in outlining research ideas and even principles and notions once a strong theoretical framework has been established. Okay, so we are done with the review of related literature. Now, let's talk about the conceptual framework first. Okay, so for the conceptual framework, it explains the major variables in the study. So it has also the diagram representing the relationship and connections of variables. Okay, so if you want to explain complex relationships, you are going to use conceptual framework. Okay? And remember, the process in doing a review of related literature must also be comprehensive. It will help because it will help in making conceptual framework. Okay, so in short, in conceptual framework, ilalagay natin dyan yung pinaka-flow, parang pinaka-summary ng research natin. Okay, so ano ba yung mga variables, ano ba yung mga process na dapat natin gawin, and ano ba yung mga i-expect natin, okay, at the end of our research. Okay, so I have here the things that you have to consider in writing conceptual framework. Okay, the first one is the research title. Okay, so you have to look at your research title and then we have to choose our variables from there. Okay, and then research questions or statement of the problem. Okay, so we have to consider research questions because it is important. It has the questions that the research should answer at the end of the research process. Okay? So sabi ko nga kanina, yung conceptual framework kasi nagbibigay yan ng flow kung paano ba yung research, ano yung process, ano ba yung mga question na dapat masagot after the research. Okay? So now, I have here the parts of conceptual framework. Okay? The first part of conceptual framework is the research paradigm or model. Okay? So, yung model na pag-uusapan natin ngayon is yung IPO model or yung input, process, output. Okay. And then after this model, we are going to explain. Okay? The explanation, or it should be in paragraph form. Pero, in your case, yung research paradigm na lang muna yung i-provide ninyo. Okay? Or yung model. Alright. So I have here a paradigm or model that you can use. Okay? On your activity, you are required to provide an IPO model or the input process outcome model. Okay, so yung input process output model, ito yung itsura niya. So meron tayong tatlong rectangle, okay? And then yung arrow niya ay ganyan. Okay? And then for the input, you're just going to include or to put your variables. So again, yung variables natin sa research title natin siya matatagpuan. Okay? And then for the process, these are the methods and statistical treatments used. For the output, okay, the outcome of the processed variable. So once na na-process na natin yung mga raw data natin or yung input natin, dito na natin ilalagay yung possible output. So kasi since hindi pa naman kayo nagka-conduct ng research properly or ng data collection, so iisipin nyo muna yung magiging outcome ng research ninyo. And also for the output, these are also products or output that is expected at the end of the study. So ito yung sabi ko nga kanina, you are going to expect something, 'di ba? So dito natin ilalagay sa output. Okay, so to be more clear, para mas maintindihan ninyo, let me introduce the example of each part. Okay, so we have example research title here. So subject, difficulty, and its effects on the subject interests of grade 12 students. Okay, so as we can see, input pa lang yung ine-explain ko dito. So sabi kanina, yung input daw are the variables from the title. Okay, so let's see the title. So yung underlined words, yun yung ating mga variables. Okay, so we have subject difficulty and subject interest. Therefore, yun yung input natin. Kasi yun yung raw data natin. Yun yung titingnan natin or hahanapan natin ng data. Or hahanapan natin ng sagot. Depende dun sa ating statement of the problem. Okay, so we have subject difficulty, subject interest, then bakit may study habits? Okay, so it may be a part of the statement of the problem of this research. That is why isinama din sa input yung study habits. Okay, kasi siguro gusto din malaman ng mga researchers kung ano ba yung study habits ng ating respondents dito. Okay? And then, after explaining the input, so let's talk about the process. Okay, we have the same title. Okay, subject difficulty and its effects on the subject interest of grade 12 students. Okay, so for the process, these are methods and statistical treatments used. Okay, since we are in quantitative research, of course, we are going to use statistical treatments. Okay? So, for example, yung process na gagawin natin para makuha natin yung um, yung level of subject difficulty nila and yung subject interest ng estudyante and together with the study habits, kailangan natin ng data gathering, of course. And kailangan natin i-tabulate yung mga data na makukuha natin. That is why sa process, naglagay tayo ng tabulation. And then, of course, we have to analyze the data that we are going to collect. Okay. And then, for the quantitative research, we are using or we are going to use hypothesis testing. Okay, we're going to do hypothesis testing and statistical analysis. Okay, in your case, pwede ninyong gayahin na lang to. Okay? Kasi same process lang naman yung gagawin natin. So, gayahin nyo na lang to sa gagawin ninyong IPO model. Okay. So, for the process, ayan, ito yung mga action na ginawa ninyo or gagawin ninyo para makuha yung mga data na kailangan sa study, 'di ba? Siyempre, paano ba natin makukuha yung mga data sa study natin? We have to gather data. Okay? So, pwede ninyong ilagay dyan, magbibigay kayo ng, or pwede ninyong ilagay dyan yung instruments ninyo like survey questionnaire, Ganyan. Okay. And then, methods used in order for you to collect answers. Okay, so ayan nga, yung mga method para makuha natin yung mga sagot ng respondents natin. Okay, so since we are quantitative again, hindi mawawala yung hypothesis testing at statistical analysis natin. So that is how process. Okay? So ulitin ko, yung process na nandito sa example ko, pwedeng ito na lang din yung ilagay ninyo sa inyong IPO model na gagawin. Okay, so ngayon, after the process, let's proceed dito sa ating output. For the output naman, okay, sabi nga kanina, output are the outcome of the processed variables and product or output that is expected at the end of the study. Okay, so dito ninyo ilalagay yung mga malalaman after the process of research. Okay, kapag tapos na kayo mag-gather data, kapag na-analyze niyo na yung data, kapag nag-hypothesis testing na kayo, okay, kapag nakita niyo na yung findings, so dito na natin ilalagay sa output. Okay? So, possible programs or interventions can be stated here in output. Okay? So it is the result of processing the input as well. So you can give possible recommendations in your research sa output. Okay? So ito na yung pinaka-product ng research ninyo or since hindi pa kayo tapos, ito na yung possible na magiging product ng inyong research. Okay? So example natin dito, since we have the same title, so the output for this research title is instructional materials development program. Okay, so at the end of the research daw, pwede daw mag-conduct ng instructional materials development program para mas makatulong pa, 'di ba? Para makuha din yung subject interest and then yung interest and even the habits of the students. And then it can be teachers who will be more considerate in terms of the students' subject interests. Okay? So ito yung mga possible outcome, possible results, and ano yung possible na mangyayari once na natapos ninyo yung research ninyo, depende doon sa process ng study. Okay. So ito yung pinaka-summary ng ating IPO model. Okay, so ito na yung actual na itsura niya. So we have the input, which is the subject difficulty, subject interest, study habits. And then for the process, ito, and then for the output. Okay, so wag natin kakalimutan na maglagay, okay, ng figure 1. So, ito yung kauna-unahang figure natin sa research. So, kailangan lagyan natin ng figure 1, tapos ilagay natin dito, research paradigm. Okay, so ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng research paradigm sa conceptual framework? Yung research paradigm, ito mismo yung diagram or ito mismo yung visual representation ng inyong conceptual framework. So, ito yung mga models natin. Actually, maraming tayong models na pwedeng gamitin, pero sa atin, ang gagamitin lang muna natin or ang gagamitin natin ay IPO model. Okay? So we are done with the conceptual framework. Let's proceed now with the research hypothesis. Okay, so for the research hypothesis, a research hypothesis is any statement created by researchers when they try to attempt upon the outcome of a research or experiment. Usually, it is regarded as an educated guess, okay, because it is probably giving a clue, but with respective basis. That is why it is converted to any assumptions of the researchers regarding their research study. Okay? This hypothesis, ito yung sinasabi nating haka-haka or yung mga naiisip ng mga researchers na magiging resulta ng study nila. Okay, kahit hindi pa natin tapos yung research, kahit hindi pa natin nagagawa yung process, of course, meron tayong nakikita na magiging result. 'Di ba? So, yun yung hypothesis natin. So, saan ba tayo magbabase ng ating hypothesis? Hulaan lang ba natin? Okay, syempre hindi. Okay? Kaya siya tinatawag na educated guess kasi hindi tayo basta magko-conclude ng conclusion, hindi tayo basta-basta magko-conclude or hindi tayo basta manghuhula ng magiging results ng study natin. Okay, so mamaya makikita natin kung saan ba tayo magbebase or magbe-base ng ating research hypothesis. Okay, pag-usapan muna natin kung ano ba yung kung ano ba yung dalawang hypothesis na gagamitin natin during the research, during quantitative research. Okay? So ito, ayan yung null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, what is null hypothesis? So for the null hypothesis, it expresses the idea of no existence of relationship or difference. Okay? No existence, no difference, or even no effect. Okay? So, it denotes, ayan, okay, it's denoted by this symbol, H sub O. Okay? And then, yung keywords or yung key phrase sa null hypothesis ay ganito. There is no significant relationship or difference or effect between. Okay? So, ito yung palagi nating makikita in writing hypothesis or in writing null hypothesis. Okay? So, a null hypothesis, according to your module, ayan, it is a hypothesis that indicates nothingness. Okay? Wala. And the similarities and the absence of change in the objects. Absence, no, wala, nothing, wala, di ba? And the principles and the results of this research study. Okay, it also indicates a very low, okay, or no possibility of a result to be accomplished, or the negativity of an instance. Okay, so kapag null hypothesis, palagi tayong makakabasa ng no na term. No, not, do not, yan, null. Okay, expresses no existence. Okay, so negative, ayan, the term negative. Okay, meanwhile, for the alternative hypothesis naman, it is the opposite of null hypothesis. Okay? It states existence of relationship or differences. Kung yung null hypothesis, there is no relationship, there is no differences, and even there is no effect. Okay? Pagdating sa alternative, okay, it states existence. Ibig sabihin may relationship daw, merong difference, and merong effect. So, yun yung magiging assumption or haka-haka natin sa research natin. Kapag alternative, yung gagamitin natin. Okay? And yung key phrase. Okay? So, yung tatandaan natin, there is a significant relationship or difference or effect between. Okay? So, as we can see, yung ating null hypothesis, ayan, balikan natin, merong no. Ayan, na term, there is no significant. Null, okay? No existence of relationship or difference. Kaya gagamit tayo ng term na no. So pagdating dito sa alternative hypothesis natin, there is a significant relationship. So yung haka-haka natin or yung assumption natin sa research natin, kapag alternative, ibig sabihin positive siya. So may relationship daw, meron daw difference, at meron daw effect. Okay? Depende yon sa statement of the problem natin. Okay. Ngayon, how to write hypothesis ba? Okay, how to write hypothesis. So, sabi ko nga kanina, ay meron dapat tayong pagbabasehan ng hypothesis. Hindi pwedeng manghuhula lang tayo basta-basta ng ating hypothesis. Okay, so we have to check our statement of the problem. Okay, so saan nga ba natin makikita ang ating SOP or statement of the problem? Okay, sa chapter 1. Okay, so balikan ninyo yung chapter 1 ninyo, tapos tignan ninyo yung statement of the problem. Okay, sa statement of the problem, hanapin naman ninyo yung major question. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, yung major question, yun yung nasa huli. Okay, pinakahuling question ng inyong statement of the problem. Okay, that is why pinabago ko yung mga format ng inyong major question. ginawa ko siyang ganitong format. Okay? Ayan. So, I have your example ng major question. So, is there any significant relationship between the student's academic performance and learning strategy? Okay, so nakuha ko yung major question ko sa chapter 1. Ito yung pinakahuli. Kaya, pinagawa ko sa inyo is yung pattern or yung format is kailangan may is there any significant, 'di ba? Kasi gagamitin ninyo yan sa hypothesis. Okay, so since we have this question, ayan, paano natin gagawa ng hypothesis tong question na to? Okay, kapag null hypothesis, ito siya. There is no significant relationship between the student's academic performance and learning strategy. Okay, so since it is null, we are going to use no. 'Di ba? Ibig sabihin, one of the hypothesis daw is wala daw talagang significant relationship yung dalawang variables. Okay? Tapos, pag naman alternative, there is a significant relationship between the student's academic performance and learning strategy. So, nagigets ninyo yung logic ng null hypothesis at alternative hypothesis. Okay, so palagi ninyong titignan muna yung inyong major question bago kayo gumawa ng hypothesis. Okay, kailangan ay pareho ng idea yan. Okay? Yung isa, patanong, yung isa, statement. Okay? So, tignan pa natin itong example natin. Ayan. So, I have major question, is there any significant effect of students' multiple intelligence to their college course preference? Okay. So, meron tayong major question. So, saan ulit siya nakuha? Sa chapter 1, sa statement of the problem, and yun yung major question, yung nasa huling item. Okay. So, ano yung pwedeng maging hypothesis dito sa question na to? Okay, for the null, there is no significant effect of students' multiple intelligence to their college course preference. Okay, and then for the alternative, there is a significant effect of students' multiple intelligence to their college course preference. Okay. So, ayan. Ganito lang gawin yung hypothesis. So, kung tama yung nagawa ninyo sa major question, okay, nung statement of the problem, magagawa ninyo ng maayos yan. Okay? So, mostly naman dun sa mga nakita ko ay sumunod. Okay? So, I have here another example. Ayan. So, minsan hindi naman kailangan laging is there any significant, ganon. Okay, so it can have or we can have this kind of major question. So, does the level of satisfaction of students towards online class help, ayan, or help the school improve their curriculum? Okay, so this is our major question. Then, kapag ginagawa na natin siyang null hypothesis, siyempre, meron ulit tayong negative. Okay? Students' level of satisfaction towards online class, ayan, do not help, okay, the school improve their curriculum. Okay? Or does not help the school improve their curriculum. Okay. For the alternative naman, okay, students' level of satisfaction towards online class helps the school improve their curriculum. Okay, so for the null, it has it explains negative. Okay, it gives negative. Okay, there's no, do not, not. Yan, yung mga term na yon. Tapos pagdating sa alternative, positive siya. Okay? So, and that is how we write the hypothesis. So, tandaan natin, magbe-base tayo palagi sa ating major question. So, saan ulit makikita ang major question? Sa chapter 1, sa SOP. Okay. Ayan. Tapos, last part is definition of variables. Okay? So, for the definition of variables or definition of terms, okay, these are specialized or it is a specialized part of the research that is operational or conceptual in nature. Okay? Set of variables that are defined based on their research function. Okay. In this part, we are going to define our variables. Okay? Saan ba natin ulit makikita yung ating variables? Okay, sa research title natin. At palagi tayong babalik sa title natin para hindi tayo mawala sa track. Kahit anong gawin ninyo, palagi ninyong balikan yung inyong title. Okay? So we have two kinds or two types of definition. So we have operational definition and conceptual definition. Okay, for the conceptual definition, this definition can be found in dictionary. Okay, so it is universal meaning. Okay, or it is also known as theoretical definition. So pagdating naman sa operational, this explains how the terms are applied in research. Okay, for the operational, dito natin ipapakita kung ano yung role. Okay, kung ano yung roles ng mga variables natin. Whether those are independent, dependent, or correlating variables. Okay? So we have, of course, kung meron tayong dapat i-consider sa conceptual framework at sa hypothesis, dapat ay meron din. Siyempre, meron din tayo sa definition of terms. Okay, for the definition of terms, we have things to remember. Okay, so ano nga ba yung dapat nating i-define sa definition of terms? So, we have to define important words. Okay, yung mga important words na yon ay yung mga variables natin na matatagpuan natin sa research title. We can also define technical terms used in research. Okay? And if there are acronyms, you can you can include that in your definition of terms, and then you are going to give their meanings as well. Okay? Tapos, tingnan natin yung mga pwede natin gawin in writing definition of terms. So I have here example. So let us check this research title. Profile preferred senior high school SHS tracks and multiple intelligences among grade 9 students. Okay, sabi ko nga kanina, particularly yung dapat natin i-define agad is yung ating mga variables. Okay, so ano ba yung mga variables natin sa research title na to? So ito yon, yung multiple intelligence, profile, and then senior high school or SHS tracks. Okay. So, ito yung mga dapat nating i-define. So, kayo, tingnan ninyo or isipin ninyo yung title ninyo, tapos tingnan ninyo alin ba kaya dito yung aming mga variables. So, kapag meron kayong variables dyan na dalawa, ibig sabihin yung dalawang yan, kailangan nasa definition of terms. Okay. So, ito yung example niya. So, meron tayong introductory part. The following terms were defined in order to promote understanding and to establish a common frame of reference in the course of discussion of the findings. So, multiple intelligences, these are the abilities, talents, and mental skills that an individual possessed to a greater or lesser extent. Profile refers to the personal description of the respondents. And senior high school or SHS tracks, it refers to the four strands in senior high school, namely academic track, technical vocational livelihood, arts and design track, and sports track. Okay, so sa pagsusulat ng definition of terms, kailangan alphabetically natin inilalagay. Okay, so kung letter A, syempre kaunahan yung letter A. So dito, M, P, S. Nauna yung M, sunod yung P, and then last is yung S natin. Okay, so another example, ayan, let's check this research title. Okay, online teaching strategies and its effect to the academic performance of the students. So in this title, we have two, ayan, two variables, and yun yung ating academic performance at yun yung ating online teaching strategies. Okay, so tignan natin. Okay, so meron ulit tayong introductory statement and then academic performance. So, academic performance, yan, inilagay natin dito yung role ng ating variable. The dependent variable of this research, since the authors of this research wants to know the factors affecting academic performance. Okay, so nilagay dito yung operational na definition niya. Ibig sabihin, ito yung role ng variable natin or ng term na to sa research. Okay? And then, syempre, nauna yung letter A kasi alphabetical order. O, online teaching strategies. So, sa online teaching strategies, ito daw yung independent variable ng research since the researchers want to know if a good online teaching strategy affects an academic performance. Okay? Thus, teaching strategy is a dominating and a manipulating variable of this research study. So it is also operational. Okay? So that is how we write the definition of term. So kung natin kakalimutan, kailangan ay define natin, ayan, define natin yung ating variables, yung mga jargons dyan, ilagay natin. Okay? Kailangan kapag may acronyms or kapag merong organization, kailangan ilagay din natin dyan. Okay? So, dun sa activity ninyo ay sabi tatlo. Tatlo yung definition of terms. I mean, tatlo yung ilalagay sa definition of terms, pero kung gusto niyo pang dagdagan, walang problema. Okay, so that's all for today, class, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you.